Hey folks, welcome to Emerald City, Harley-Davidson. It's a great place to kickstart our Cascade Loop trip. Chris and I have some big decisions to make over the next few weeks, so let's talk about decision making. So when's the last time you had an important decision to make and try as you might, you just couldn't quite get there? Today? Probably. For me, yeah. Today, this morning. I mean, it could be, easy, short, simple decisions, or it could be life-changing decisions. But, either way, we're faced with decisions every day. Do I buy a car? Do I sell the house? Do I quit this job? Do I take that job? Decisions surround us every single day, and we reach that level of fatigue where sometimes we don't want to make a decision, sometimes we can't come to a conclusion. We procrastinate, we languish, and ultimately, sometimes we just let things fall where they may. Decisions often mean change, and change is uncomfortable. It's scary, and a lot of people are resistant to change, scared of change. You know what? You're not alone. To some degree, everybody's scared of change. It's not abnormal. And besides, let's just face it, right? You're actually making decisions every day. What to wear, what to have for breakfast, where to eat dinner. There's no shortage of decisions that we make every single day. But most of those decisions we end up taking for granted because we think they're easy. And maybe they are, or maybe we're just equipped with certain decisions to make those decisions faster, because we already have most of the steps complete through the decision-making process. We already know the data, we already have the alternatives. It's fairly simple. But we're going to talk today about what's not so simple, and that's how to deal with more complex, big problems, big decisions that you've got to make. Your ability to adapt to those decisions is often directly related to the quality of your decision-making process. So today we're going to go on a journey together. We're going to ride the beautiful Cascade Loop through the mountains of Washington. We're going to use that as the backdrop to walk through 5 key decision-making steps. Ready? Let's go. You can really start the Cascade Loop from anywhere, but I chose to start at Everett, heading east on Highway 2 through Stevens Pass to Leavenworth. Then I'd head through the Wenatchee Valley, around Lake Chelan, and up to Highway 20 to head west back through Winthrop and the North Cascades, through the Skagit Valley, and back over to Fidalgo and Whidbey Island before hopping on a ferry back to Everett. This is seriously one of my favorite places on this route. I came out here to do photos. I don't know, there's something about, like rusted steel bridges that just calls my name. So maybe this is as good a place to start as any. What's step number 1? Well, candidly, step number 1 is to grab that textbook or jump on Google and just look up the steps for the decision-making process. I mean, we're talking, there's lots of studies, lots of really good professional people making much better content than I can with regards to maybe the logical facts, the logical process of decision making. But I'm I'm actually wanna use that as just step one, because all those processes, let me see here, they talk about the need to identify the decision that you're gonna make. See, look, I'm reading it because I've looked it up on Google too. Identify the decision, gather information, identify alternatives, weigh the evidence, make a choice, take action, and review your decision. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that it's a very logical approach to making a decision. And I don't think that's the hard part. I mean, putting together the pros and cons and gathering all the data and information, that's easy. The hard part is how you weigh your emotions through the process. And like it or not, every decision you make is a combination of logic and emotion. And I think we often fail to deal with that emotional problem, that emotional component effectively. And different decisions might have a different ratio of emotion to logic, but it's still there. We often try to use all the facts, the logic, to eliminate emotion from decisions. But I tell you what, that's not only is it not really possible, it's not really healthy, because there's some level of emotion in every decision that you're going to make. So rather than ignore it or avoid it, think about it, make it a part of the process. Now, on the other hand, it's not healthy to try and make a completely emotional decision either. We get into trouble when we try to eliminate either emotion or logic from the overall process. If you try to make a decision that's 100% emotional, the reality is you're probably going to get a 100% emotional outcome too. Maybe not ideal. So step one for me is to simply compartmentalize the logical component of a decision so that we can get on to the harder part, which is really dealing with the emotional component. Let's get back on the road, and we'll get to step two. So what's next? So probably one of the most stressful part of decision making is not knowing everything about the decision, not having enough information. The fact is, you'll never get all the information to make a perfect decision. A perfect decision doesn't exist. So don't chase it. Accept that you're not going to have all the information. If you're familiar with the principle of diminishing returns, the gist of it is, in this context, is at some point, the level of effort to get every incremental piece of information that's going to help you increase the confidence in your decision, the effort is going to get greater and greater, and you're going to make less and less overall effect on the quality of your decision. So the art of this decision making is knowing when. Knowing when is enough. When have you reached that breaking point on the diminishing return that it's not worth going after more and more information? Of course, it's important to weigh the pros and cons and the data and the facts and look to the future. But you can't predict the future. You don't know what's actually going to happen. So reach a point that you're comfortable, that you've done your due diligence, that you've gathered as much information as is feasible, not as is perfect. And make a decision. Accept it. Accept that there isn't a perfect decision. So in wrapping up here, we're going to head into Leavenworth. We're just on the outskirts of Leavenworth here. This is the Wenatchee River. Just beautiful, beautiful town. I'll give an overview as we pass through. Leavenworth is a top tourist destination in the Pacific Northwest, but it wasn't always so. Originally a settlement for gold, timber, and furs, it thrived during the logging and sawmill days of the early 1900s. But when the railroads changed their routes, Leavenworth almost turned into a ghost town. In an effort to revive the community, leaders initiated a top-to-bottom makeover starting in the 1960s, capitalizing on the Bavarian-like alpine hills. Today, over 1 million visitors per year enjoy authentic German culture in this Bavarian-styled community. And from personal experience, if you can't do Oktoberfest in Munich, this is a great alternative. Okay, so a trip like this really shouldn't be rushed. I decided to stay overnight in Leavenworth. Maybe the downside is, okay, yeah, you shouldn't rush a trip like this, but I don't think I'm even a fifth of the way through this ride. So I'm gonna have to put some miles on the road this morning and see where we get. We're gonna be going over through Wenatchee, around Lake Chelan, and then hitting up to Highway 20 to follow that west. So it's a little overcast this morning, so probably going to be a bit of a cool ride. I think might be time to break out the leather jacket. Let's go. And now we've made it to Diablo Lake. This has gotta be one of my absolute favorite places in the state. It's hard to believe that the water naturally looks like that. It's this greenish blue color. I guess the glaciers grinding on the rocks produce a silk, this rock flower that reacts with the sunlight in the water to make it this greenish blue. It's just stunning. No, I'm not doing any color correcting on this particular clip. You gotta see this. You gotta see it in its raw format. So part of navigating an imperfect decision has to do with recognizing the difference between a decision that you can take back and a decision that is done, right? So Amazon, yes, my day job currently is working with Amazon. Amazon has a principle called one-way versus two-way doors. Put simply, a two-way door is a decision that you can easily take back. So think about purchasing a TV. Right? It might be a big TV, you might have ordered it online. It might be a really big hassle, but in the end, if you don't like the TV, you can send the TV back. You can take it back to the store. You can make that decision with at least the confidence that, reversing the decision is not that big of a deal. A one-way door, those require a little bit more care. So as opposed to buying a TV, let's say you're buying a car, you're buying a house. That's not so easy to back out of once it's done. So that should give you a little bit of guidance on how much due diligence, how much should you spend on working towards that diminishing return when you can't take the decision back. You should take a little bit more time and care in making that decision. Okay, so the wind here is brutal. So where are we going next? We're going to keep heading west, heading out to Fidalgo Island, and this is kind of where the Cascades meet the Sound, and spend a couple hours on a couple islands. Sounds like fun. All right, let's go. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna break out the camera here and get some photos too. Just can't pass that up. So can't be afraid to make a bad choice. It's gonna happen. You're gonna choose wrong. Failing to make a decision is hard on you. It's hard on your psyche. When you let circumstances just take their course, gosh, think of all the opportunities that you miss over time. My dad used to say there are three types of people in the world. Those that make things happen, those that let things happen, and those that wonder what happened. He also said life was like riding a bicycle. You're either pedaling or you're coasting. So ask yourself, are you pedaling or coasting? When you make decisions, that's a sign of pedaling. That's a sign of taking life by the reins and doing what you know you need to do. And honestly, even a bad decision, it means you're pedaling. So don't be the person at the end of the day, at the end of your journey, at the end of life, saying, what did I miss? What happened? Where did my life go? Make that decision. Good or bad, make the decision. And just like that, the sun's going down. I debated whether I wanted to come out this far. It's been a long day riding. I'm glad I did. Okay, all right, so time to spend the night somewhere. And we'll cover Whidbey Island tomorrow. All right. See you then. All right, so that's Washington weather for you. Exact same forecast and outlook today as it was yesterday. And now I feel overdressed. So all right, well, South Whidbey State Park. This is the beach. Pretty much just water, some fishing, nice, calm, relaxing place. I thought maybe rather than wrapping up with the last tip on the ferry, I'd do that here and then kind of wrap up the trip on the ferry. So let's do that. Last tip: making decisions is just like a muscle. It takes exercise. You know, you gotta keep it in practice. You know, but like a muscle, you know, making decisions can result in fatigue, and you start cutting corners. So decisions when you've reached that point of fatigue, you know, they're not the best decisions. So it takes some practice recognizing when you're tired of making decisions and you're starting to take shortcuts. That decision fatigue results in stress, just overall stress. That's where a lot of our individual and personal stress comes from. So take a day off, go to the beach, relax. So when you're reaching that point of fatigue, kind of like I am right now, going up this hill, give yourself some time. Take a break. Enjoy it. I'm getting hot. I should not have worn the leathers down on a hike. Not cool. That's it. I hope you've enjoyed the ride. Maybe a little information. Get out there, make a choice, make a decision, make it today. Pick one. It only takes one. Start with one. And if you're not already following our channel, this is just maybe a sample of what's to come. Like, subscribe, follow us if you want. We'd certainly appreciate it. And until the next video.
Per CDC guidelines.